Hello guys, my name is Wojtek and welcome to 63rd session of Level Up. Today we are here with YOHANN SCHEPACZ.
Hey guys.
And we have a lot of cool stuff prepared for you. So let me just go through a quick intro. Let me introduce you to YOHANN. So YOHANN is currently working as a concept artist at Eidos Montreal. It's his third year there, and besides that, YOHANN is also running a highly successful OXAN, an art studio based in Montreal, Canada, created along with his wife, Jan. So that's a really cool topic we are going to talk through today. I'm really excited to showcase your work now. Let me just share my screen really quickly. Okay, so if you want to check out Johann's work, go to oxanstudio.com, and there you go. So, Johann, maybe you can quickly introduce us to the concept of OXAN, because I will just go through your work there, and you can just, go ahead.
Yeah, so like we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Basically, OXAN started with me and my wife. We started working for Applebot, and we were doing the work together. We were doing the conception, the sketch, like coming up with the ideas, coming up with storytelling, all together. And up to the finish, like to the finished rendering and stuff. Like we collaborated a lot on the first sets that we did. Like I think we did 3 or 4 sets together, really collaboratively. And so when it came time to show it up online, we didn't want it to have a stack of signature on the piece. So I just came up. I came up with the idea to make up a name out of both our names. Like our name is Lian, our name is Johann, so OXAN. There's not really logic behind it, but it just sounded cool. And then so that's basically how it started. And then we got more and more work, and then I decided to create like a sort of studio out of it, studio name. It looks more professional. Also, it's as an entity, you can separate yourself from it a little bit. It's not too much ego tripping as well, because it's not your name. It's nobody's name. It's nobody's work. You know what I mean? Like it's a studio, and everybody is. I mean, me and her are collaborating on that. So
I remember seeing these pieces back on CG Hub. They really blew me away. I think that's the way I found about you and Jan. I mean.
Cool. This is actually, it's funny because the story is this is the really first piece that we did together.
This one, right, with the pigeon.
Yeah. And I have to say, I mean, she did the character rendering, and she is incredibly skilled, as you can see, as rendering, and so
it's really cool.
that was amazing to do that together.
Guys and gals, if you want to check out these pieces, go to oxanstudio.com. And besides all that, we are going to talk about the process, how we work with your wife on these pieces. I'm really interested in that. It's really unique. And let me just go through the gumroad, because also you are doing instructional videos, right? Really affordable.
Yeah, that's I jumped on the gumroad train last year because I really like the idea. I wish that there was something like that when I grew up, like when I started as an artist. I wish there was something like that cheap, that affordable. And so I've taught in the past when I was we can talk about it later, but when I was living in Australia, I taught a little bit, and I really liked it. That's how I learned English, actually. That's another story. And so when I looked at all the content that was available at the time, I just thought that there was some stuff that nobody was talking about, like especially rendering-wise and illustration-wise. So I just and I'm always interested. That was also a very good learning for me, very good learning exercise to learn how to talk, to present my idea, to present the way I work, and to explain also how to do this and that. So all in all, it was a very positive experience, and I received a lot of great feedback from it. So I'm pretty glad.
So if you haven't seen these tutorials yet, go to gumroad.com/OXANstudio, same as the website, and I mean, these pieces are beautiful, and seeing the full process behind these must be awesome. And here you have also more fundamental type of tutorial, right? Working on fundamental rendering and different materials, local colors. Yeah, that must be great. So guys, I will post links to these in the event page. So yeah, make sure to pick those up. And yeah, we are ready to go, Johan. I heard you prepared some embarrassing work for us.
Okay. Yeah, it's not the oldest one, and unfortunately, I couldn't find them. I think I trashed them. So. But let me share that. I'm gonna switch my screen right now. You okay to switch my screen?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Totally right.
Let's do this.
You have some paintings behind you, am I right?
Yeah, I was preparing some stuff for the demo later, so I was also sketching while I was waiting for you to come on board, because I was a bit early, I think. But yeah, so can you see what I'm showing right now?
Yeah, totally. If you can expand the window to make it full screen or something, along with the picture.
It's coming. So I'm just going to do something like that.
So in the meantime, if you're watching this session live and you have any questions, please type them into the chat.
Yeah.
I will try to pick them up. I cannot promise that.
Multitasking.
Yeah, multitasking at its best. Dark's not here. Jonas is in some warm countries and chilling out. Make sure to
enjoying some massage in Thailand.
Totally.
So yeah, so that's those pieces. Actually, I did some like the really embarrassing one is 2 children books that I did out of school. Maybe it was like 2003 or 4.
This one you're showing now?
No. I don't have them. Actually,
okay. I was scared for a moment.
No, I could. Let me see. It was actually really fun to do that when it was my first job out of school, and I'm really glad for the opportunity. But let me see if this is the cover. It was really cartoony. I didn't keep. Oh, that was another one. It's too small. Anyway, that was terrible, and I'm glad there's no traces on it. But this work is like from my period, my first job, like real job, like official job. After that was Gameloft. And I think there's some pieces in there, but that was personal work that I was doing back then, and that job was in Shanghai as well.
Okay, so let's maybe go back to your very beginnings. So how exactly?
Okay. So I'm from the south of France. So I'm from Toulouse, which is middle south France. Okay. And I never draw really. Never looked at that. I looked at my first oil painting when I discovered conceptart.org or something like that. Like I had no clue. I was 19 or 20. I had no clue at all. I was reading a lot of comics. I read a lot of novels and stuff all my childhood. I drew the occasional Dragon Ball and stuff like that, but I never really thought about it or never been exposed to it at all. Okay. And then one day when I finished the normal school in France, and then one day my mom comes in with a flyer for like a multimedia school / photo school or whatever. They were opening a new section on multimedia and programming and animation and graphic design. And so I looked at the flyer and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. Like at the time I was big on sports and stuff like that. I was doing a lot of martial arts. So I was kind of in the trip of going to China, going to Shaolin Temple and become like a master or something like that. Because I was really tripping on martial arts and all that and all sport and being outside all the time and stuff like that. That would have been that would have been another life. But then that day my mom showed me this flyer and then I looked at it and it looked really cool. And again, I mean, it was like nobody knows about this school. It's on no maps at all. And if I knew better at the time, I would have gone to a different school. But anyway, it was still very formative. And then I discovered concept art, and we have at the time there was a forum in France called Café Salé. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much where it all started. And suddenly I realized that people my age or a bit older than me were doing comics, were doing video game works, and I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, how is it possible? Because for me, I was reading comics and looking. I've always been looking at making of some movies and stuff like that. I love the behind the scenes and stuff. But it was so like another world. Like I always thought that these were old people doing something in another country. I didn't realize the immediacy, the availability of that thing just next to me. Like people in France were kicking ass, literally. So from one day to the other, I was totally fucking hooked. Like I was hooked, like severely hooked to that drug. And it's funny because it's at the same time my dad is he managed construction sites and he works with architects and stuff like that. And so one day he just brought a tablet home, but it was an architect tablet, like it was huge, like it was an A2 size tablet with hundreds of buttons for I think it was AutoCAD or something like shortcuts on the tablet, like really old stuff. But he gave it to me. It's like, yeah, that thing was laying around in the office. I thought you could use that, and I was like, okay. But I had no clue what it was or how to use it, and I hooked it to Photoshop, and that's it. I was like, shit, that's awesome. Like, you don't need to pay the paper. Like, it costs nothing. Like, you have a computer and the tablet costs nothing at the time. You know, you have zero money.
So that was like what, early 2000 or?
Yeah, that was those 2 years were 2002, 2004.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the period. And so I went through that school and I tried a lot of stuff. I learned a lot in that school because I knew nothing, so you can't not learn something. But basically the most thing that I did was flash animation actually, and Illustrator, a lot of graphic design. A lot of cartoony stuff because I was coming from the comic book culture in France and manga and stuff like that. That's the stuff that I've been reading the most and influenced by the most at this point. And then I started looking at that stuff and I started drawing and painting. And I met some of the guys. Of course, you always meet like-minded people in this kind of school. And we just pumped each other up and did that. For 2 years, and then coming out of that, it was extremely frustrating because, of course, I thought that once you finish that school, I was like, we had a final project. I was like, I came out first of that school, and so I thought I was the shit. You know, it was like, all the doors are going to open, and people are going to come and ask me for work and stuff like that. Well, not at all. Like nothing happened. Literally after that, nothing came out of it, except a lot of frustration and not knowing what to do next, because at the time there was concept art and stuff, but the form you could get ideas of how to do it, but it wasn't that clear how to get there, how to work in video games, how to work in films, and so then I was trying to work. I did everything, every little shitty job I did, like doing flyers, doing logos, doing restaurant menus, doing, like that's how I started, because I tried everything. I tried to poke in every direction, and then at some point I got fed up, and there was not much work in that area in France. There still isn't. So I decided to move. It was actually it's funny, Spot.
Yeah, of course.
Nicolas Pouvier, okay.
Yeah.
And I was following his work a lot at the time, and I was reading, because he's one of the few who explains stuff a lot on forums, and he was taking the time to write up a lot of stuff. And
I remember his post, yeah.
Yeah, that was really mind-opening, and so at some point he talks about his childhood, and that he traveled a lot, and that he saw a lot of stuff, and that influenced his art a lot. And to me, that struck me a lot. Also because I've always been reading fantasy books and stuff like that, so always about adventure and big journeys and stuff like that. Yeah. And so instead of because there's two ways you can tell, the right way, which I'm doing now. It's not the right way, but it's like practicing a lot, get a discipline schedule and practice. But at the time, that was hard. That was the hard thing. So I was like, traveling sounds better. And so, yeah, so I left to a place called Réunion Island, which is next to Mauritius Island in the Indian Ocean. It's a French territory. So for a first travel, it was kind of
that's
safe.
Far away.
It's very far away. Like, it's France, but it's not France at all. It's like a tropical island, basically, 90 kilometers square, tropical weather, and all the package. And then I settled myself there. I think I stayed there 2.5 years.
No painting, no art.
No, yeah, I did. But again, like it was a bit dumb. Like, instead of going to a hub where I could find a lot of work and a lot of like-minded people, I went to the most faraway place to find these kind of people. There was no painter. Nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody understood what I was doing, what I was trying to do. So it was kind of hard. It was a bit of 2 lonely years. But at the same time, it was in tropical weather, and I did a lot of travel. That island is amazing for traveling and hiking, and I saw like erupting volcanoes. I trekked a lot in the. It's a very young mountain, so it's very sharp. There's tons of amazing shit to see, like unbelievable. And I was living by the beach as well, so that wasn't too bad, you know. But then you're trying to make it as an artist, and then you're alone. So, after that, oh sorry, go for it.
So yeah, for 2 years you kind of deliberately started to build your life experience, so to speak. Like you wanted to see things, experience something different than South France, probably.
Pretty much.
Different people, different environment, even nature.
Totally different people. Yeah, and then you're coming out of teenagehood, and you just want to become somebody else, or like, and that's a great way when you travel. You leave everything behind. You can just become somebody else. So, but then that was the first step, and then from there, like a scholarship to go study in Australia graphic design. And I was like, that sounds good too. And at the time, I was like, I did two children books, and it was really hard, and I wasn't getting better, and so I was a bit fed up with the whole illustration stuff, and I kind of gave up on it at this time. And then I saw this graphic design course, and I was like, sure, let's try this, and it's gonna be, I don't know, it seems like a solution at the time. So I get this scholarship, and then I moved to Sydney, Australia. Knowing that, like, you have to know that at this time I had zero money. I didn't talk English. And
so how old were you back then?
Back then, I'm losing the count, but I was maybe 24, 25, something like
24. That. Okay. Johan, can you turn off the screen share just for now, as we are talking?
Yeah.
Okay.
You want me to turn your camera?
Just turn the screen share off so we can see you. I think it'll be more.
Oh, how do I flip this?
Just click the green button again, or click stop on the.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
No worries. So yeah, Australia.
Yeah, man, that was the game changer, really. So I went there, and then I arrived in Sydney, and I didn't talk. I had a month to prepare because my course was starting a month after I arrived. So I had to find a job, I had to find a house, I had to find a way to make a living, and basically I didn't have any money to go back. And I think that's
the motivation. That's the
best.
Right?
Like, walk or die. And I keep telling my sisters, my younger sisters and stuff like, this is what you need to go through, because there's no turning back. If you're in the same city with your parents, not far and stuff like, you can always fall back on your friends.
Yeah, or warm cushion waiting for you.
Exactly. And what I didn't really realize it at the time. Now looking back at it, this is what it was. And so basically, like, during that first month, I was in the street. I was drawing in the street, and I was talking to people, to homeless people, to anybody I could talk to. And I was in a sort of red district in Sydney, so I was talking to a lot of dodgy people. But I learned a lot. That's how I kind of learned English. I learned it on the spot, because I had it was walk or die. I needed to talk. I needed, like we were talking about before, like you had trouble in France talking to people and feeling like you can't communicate with people. But that was my problem, and I had to solve it because I had no choice. I had no way to do that.
So there was a language barrier. That was
there was a language barrier, but then I was at the right place at the right time, and I met a French guy who just got offered 2 teaching positions, and he could only just take one. So he told me, well, you want to go to the other? So he gave me. I said yes. So he gave me the address, and I showed up to that school. And it was a bit of a weird school. I don't know. They weren't doing it. I don't know. They took me. I had a very little portfolio. I had a lot of motivation though. Yeah. I was like, this is like, I need this or I'm gonna starve. So I think the guy felt that. And he was a bit of a Buddhist and stuff like that. It was a really cool guy, the head of the school. So he took me in, and then basically my design course started. And basically what I did is like, and I hope he's not watching, because basically what I did is, like, whatever they were teaching me at the school, I would take that and then go teach it at the school, at the other school. And the funny thing, it was down the road, like it was 200 meters. Both schools were 200 meters. So I was doing like 20 hours of teaching, and then, I don't know, like 25 hours of learning. So I was like going back and forth. And they never checked anything that I did. Nobody ever came into my classroom and checked what I was teaching people. Like, but at the end of the day, it was also amazing, because when I started that class, I had basically 50 words of vocabulary, and I was constantly repeating myself, like saying words over and over again. What saved me is like I had a giant screen with Photoshop and Illustrator, so I was already doing kind of little cool stuff on the screen, and so I was teaching. It was basically a school for rich people, I have to say. It was very expensive. And so I was teaching like 17 to 20 years old people that really were there because it was cool, it was trendy to do graphic design and stuff like that, and so they didn't really give a shit, to be honest. And so it was more like I was talking to people almost the same age as me, so we had a lot of fun, but they were taking me apart, like language-wise, they were taking me apart. Like they were making so much fun.
That's how you learned, right?
Yeah, that's how you learn, but it's fucking painful, man. You have to learn that stuff like so hard, and then. Okay, so that was like the premises. It was really hard because I was doing like 70 hours a week, like between the learning and the teaching. I was going mental, and that was crazy. But
so back then there was only graphic design, and you didn't yet know about.
Not yet. But I don't remember how long it took me. But basically, at some point, I was like. That's the same as you, like, you have no friends, it's very hard to connect with people, and you're always busy, so you don't have time for social life. And I think I went on conceptart.org on the forums, and I searched like for Australian concept artists or whatever, and I stumbled upon like a post by a guy named Adam Paquette, and that was a big game changer. That changed my life, because this guy, when I met him, he was very motivated. He was just starting like me. But he was very motivated, and same as me. Like you just want you have the will to live. Like you just want to bite that apple and get it done. And so we immediately hooked up. Like we immediately talked. We were talking about the same thing. He knew concept art, he knew all this stuff, he knew all the illustrators. So we became instantly buddies, and we moved. We rented like a shitty house together. And it was like a bit like the Fight Club house, less derelict, but kind of like that. And then he brought me back on the concept art path. And then he was doing a bit of stuff, a bit of concept art work already in Sydney with some local clients. And so he hooked me up with that. And then that's where it started. That's where we both together we started practicing, going to live drawing, going to bars, and sketching people out in the street, and then I was back on the path that I'm now, like the art path, basically.
Okay, so that was basically self-teaching, right, with your peer?
Yeah, very much at the beginning. We struggled so much. We struggled so much. Like there wasn't like as much information as there's now on the internet. Like there's so many tutorials and stuff like that. Online teaching now is crazy. People are really lucky right now. Back then it was just like going to art school. Like we did a few live drawing workshops, like month or 2 months, or regular sessions, just talking to people, trying to get stuff out of books, and just looking at other people's art and trying to reverse engineer it or something like that. That's pretty much how we did that. And so that was 3 years, 3 years in Australia. And then eventually I ran out of visa, and I had to go back to France because I couldn't find I tried to land some jobs, some full-time jobs, but honestly my portfolio wasn't good enough back then to get anything. So I went back to Reunion Island, where I stayed 3 months, did some book covers, did a few things like that. And then I think the time that I discovered CGUB, I think, and I posted 3 works on CGUB, and I wish CGI was still up because I could show you those shitty pieces. That got me and it is 3 days after that. 3 days after I posted that, I received an email from an art director from Gameloft saying, "Hey man, I'm opening a new concept art studio in Shanghai. There's this, and that. You want to be part of it?" And I was like, I had no strings attached. I was in Reunion Island. I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. It's like, awesome. Why not? And so it took like about 3 or 4 months to get all the paper done and stuff like that. And then I flew to Shanghai, and then I met all these people, and that was crazy. Basically, I arrived, and there was no work really for me, and there they didn't know what to make me do. Like I had the pieces that I posted on CJ where there was 2 environments and 1 character, I think. Yeah. And so I decided, there was a lot of people already doing. There was a lot of character artists hired because we were a lot of concept artists in that studio, and nobody was doing environments. And so I started looking at the project that were going on, and I was like, I learned everything on the job. Like seriously, I learned everything on the job from day one, and I carved my position in that studio little by little. And
Fake
then
it till you make it.
after a while, I started receiving a lot more requests and stuff like that, and that was basically the start of it. But self-taught all the way for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So
Painful.
haven't you felt alienated again, like you did in Australia, but in Shanghai?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. I mean, Australia. I mean, yeah. Australia was kind of. I learned English I learned English in about 6 to 8 months. Like it was like crash course. And with my flatmates and everything, they were fluent and they were giving me shit for every mistake. So you learn very, very fast that way.
Yeah, that's true.
But then in Shanghai, that was totally another world because French to English is kind of easy, but French to or English to Chinese is completely another world. You go back to kindergarten like zero, and it was more of a relaxation. In the studio, they were organizing French classes that the secretary was giving, but it was more like a relaxation time. Everybody was just going insane and just you put a bunch of guys like that work 10 hours a day in a room with Chinese and like children books, like learning from. Anyway, it was nuts. It was very fun, but we didn't learn much Chinese. And then I think a month or two after that, my wife to be, I have to say, came in for an interview in the studio. And I'm gonna say that was love at first sight. But it was like she came out of the meeting room, and
you were struck.
The entrance of the meeting room was just in front of me, and I was like, "Ooh, who's that? Who's that girl?" And then so she left and everything, and then I went to the studio art director. I was like, "Hey, show me her work. Well, what is she doing?" And then I saw her stuff, and I was like, "Oh my fucking!"
Oh yeah, there you go.
What the hell? We need to hire that girl. And then it was like the studio manager was like, no, you guys are gonna be over her and stuff like that, and it's gonna be trouble all the way. I was like, no, it's gonna be fine. It's gonna be all right. She's gonna be a great asset for the company and stuff like that. So basically, they hired her.
They hired her.
Yeah, they hired her, and I worked with her. And so the first week, it was the studio art director took me apart. He was like, you need to let her work. You have to stop chatting with her because she's not getting anything done. And I was like, okay, I'll come down. But yeah, basically, it was just like, anyway. So we ended up together. And then that was the biggest game changer in my life as an artist, as a man, at anything. But as an artist, because basically she has like you always hear about these people who've been drawing since they can hold the pencil. Well, she's the real deal. Like I've seen people say that, but didn't really do that. Where she was like, it's the only thing she's ever done is drawing since she can hold a pencil, and she did like she has a family of artists and stuff like that. So she was naturally pushed. And there's a different culture and perception in China as well as far as artists. It is not as ostracized as it is in the West. Like you never make money out of art or whatever. That your parents can tell you in the West. Like in China, they're way more respectful with and they're way more respectful, and they know that you can make a living out of it. And her family has a lot of artists. So she naturally went to art school from I think when she was 16. So she did it the hardcore way. She did like 4 or 5 years of fine art school. And the thing is, with Chinese art school, they have a Russian heritage. I think there's something during the war or something. They got cut off completely from West culture, and so the only thing they had was the Russian influence. And as we all know, the Russians are one of the best art school and painting school in the world. So they got all that influence, and you can see it. It's amazing when you go to like a library store in Shanghai. You have sections of sketchbooks from students from art school, hundreds of them, and they all kick ass. Like they're all so good. It's just like she's just like the normal artist. Like they all have such strong foundations in anatomy and rendering, and you see so many of them, and so it's kind of natural for them to go through that. So she did, and now she has an amazing level of rendering and perception of form and design. She went the
was learning in traditional, right? Traditional.
Yeah, she learned, you know, like oil painting and gouache and pencils and stuff like that.
Paintings just behind you, are these hers?
No, that's mine.
Oh yeah, so you also work in traditional. I didn't know that.
I tried to do it. I started last year. I find it's very complimentary. I'm having a lot of fun with it, even if it's so fucking hard. Especially when you've done too many years of digital, you have to really
Control-Z,
think a different way. It's just all different way of approaching
totally.
The color mixing and planning. You have to be much more careful with everything.
Deliberate, totally.
Do you find? That's awesome. I love it. Every time. I don't do it enough.
So you think it improves your digital?
Totally.
Oh my God. Totally changes.
Totally. It's just like the hardest part, honestly, the oil thing is getting through color mixing, which I'm not through yet, but I've learned some stuff and I've discovered some stuff, and I had some like, whoa, you can do this, and then it becomes such a joy to just create your own color, and you mix material like it's chemical material that you mix with your brush, and you put. I mean, it has a physical aspect. There's a visceral, organic aspect that you don't have with the digital.
And that's what
totally enjoyable.
Yeah, the textures you can build up, they're really like. It's
There's
just
so many layers to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So having your wife around when you are practicing that, so she's more comfortable with oil paints, right?
No, she is. Actually, that's the funny thing is like, I mean, she can still do it and everything, and every time she takes a brush, she blows my mind, but she doesn't want to do it because it's like, you know, when you have a kid, you make him play or her play piano from 5 to 10. They hate it. You know, they don't want to touch a piano for the rest of their life.
Okay, all right.
Basically, the training that she went through like kind of traumatized her. Even if it made her badass, but she doesn't want to touch oil or any kind of traditional medium.
So the training was so intense. Yeah.
It was super intense. Yeah. When she has a hard time remembering everything, but once she tells me like the everyday practice, it was nuts. Like, I don't know. You've heard about the Safe House atelier that it was at some point in Karl Dobsky was doing kind of like this traditional teaching in
LA.
Yeah, in LA. So I mean, it was this was already hardcore. I don't know if you know about it, but this was already hardcore training, but it was worse than that from what she describes to me. But at the end of the day, you know, you're badass. So it's like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, you are not enjoying it as much as you could if there wasn't for the hardcore training. Yeah. So there's a price that you have to pay at some point.
But now she's just totally comfortable with digital.
That's great. That's great. That must be refreshing as well to transpose your skills from traditional media to a new field and maybe find more refreshing and enjoyable even because you are not connected with the memories maybe of hard training.
There's that, and then it's less painful. Just this simple fact that you don't have to deal with a lot of stuff that you have to do with traditional. So she doesn't care. She doesn't care. So the end result counts.
So we have you at Gameloft now.
Yeah.
We have your wife and
kicking my ass at Gameloft. So he went like that, and so like I said, she totally flipped everything that I thought I knew, every little piece of knowledge I thought I knew or I knew how to do. Basically, I watched her paint, and I was like, damn it, I know nothing at all, and I have to restart from scratch. And especially because all these years I already had several bad habits and way of thinking about things that were really leading me anywhere. So I had to unlearn everything and start learning again. And I didn't know nothing about colors. I was just like going instinctively, and then she taught me the theory. She taught me how color wheel works. She told me complementaries, primary, secondary, tertiary colors, how it works, values, design, everything. And it was funny because at the time she wasn't speaking much English. Like she learned English with me basically all the way. So it was really like communication through art a lot. Just looking at each other work, or me looking at her because I was doing shitty stuff, so she wasn't looking too much at my stuff. And and yeah, and then it grows and grows and it grows, and honestly, having a person like that every day at home, it's hard. It's very hard because you get punched in the face with looking at what she does. But it's the best motivator. Like that, I always just want to make her proud or make her like want to inspire her with my work and stuff like that, and give back to her what she gave to me basically. So that is, yeah, it's a great dynamic, and is also the thing that I think it's only possible within a couple is like this like harsh honesty about the work. Like there's sugarcoating, but not so much, and then you really have an honest, very honest opinion about what you're doing, and you move forward a lot with that because more often than not, when you ask people you don't really know or even good friends and stuff like, there's always like the kind of like, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's normal. You cannot not be differently socially, but you don't have that full honesty or that full attention also. Or the person that is looking at your work and is going to be honest, like terribly honest about what is wrong with it, mostly what is right, and pointing at you exactly what you need to work on to make it better, Yeah. And this is the best school. There's nothing better. It's painful as hell, and then you go through ups and downs with your ego and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like since I met her, that was like 6 years ago. I went from nothing, like really, really bad, to where I am now, and in a very short time. Also because I put tons of hours in it. Like it's not just that somebody's pointing you in the right direction, and then you have to do the work. Yeah. Because more often than not, like I know she knows the solution. I know she knows how to fix this, but she's gonna say, "No, I'm not telling you. You have to find it by yourself." And it's like it's a torture, but it's a great motivator. And yeah, I mean, again, like I'm coming home from work and I see her doing the freelance stuff, and I'm blown away by what she does. I'm like, okay, this is okay. I have to keep going because if I stop, she'll get better, and then I'll be left behind, and then there's nothing I can do.
So after Gameloft, when exactly the idea of OXAN have emerged? Like,
well, basically, Gameloft, basically the studio that we had in Shanghai moved to Singapore. The studio director decided to move to Singapore, so we moved the whole studio to Singapore, switched the team a little bit. Yeah. And I was already kind of a bit tired of the project that we were doing. It wasn't really like it wasn't AAA or something. I was kind of starting to be frustrated because I was going more and more into the realistic style, and then Gameloft kind of more cartoony stuff that they're doing. So I was growing out of it, and then we moved to Singapore, and then Singapore is it's like 25 degrees, 200% humidity all year long, and that gets tiring very fast.
Oh yeah.
It's a great hub though. Again, back to the traveling thing. Like we traveled so much because everything is so cheap around. Like you get a ticket to Thailand for $50. You go to Bali, you go to China, you go to Japan. But really cheap. It's a great hub to be traveling from. But then she was growing more realistic, I was growing more realistic, and we needed to either go freelance or find a full-time job. So after that, we moved back to France, to Europe, and then we spent a year freelancing, and that's how the Applebot stuff started. And then I got a job. I got a job offer first as freelance. And then as full-time on the best project in my life. That was my first year at Eidos. Oh, yeah. And that was the best. The team of concept artists that was there, and then the project scope and art direction and everything was off the roof. That was amazing stuff. That was my best year so far.
So it's probably the project that is not announced yet, am I right?
No, after the problem, this got cancelled.
Oh, okay. Right.
That was it's also the best time and the biggest tragedy. Oh yeah. Yeah, because we had such a great we had a great team of artists. We had we had Jeff Simpson, we had Chase Toole, we had me, we had the art direction was so open and fantasy and stuff like that, and science fiction, a big mix of stuff. That we went crazy on it, and when you have a big team of concept artists like that, you produce stuff every day. like the weekly updates were amazing. Like so much concepts, there were so many ideas going in so many directions. I don't know if you saw that documentary on Dune. You know, the genesis of Dune by Jodorowsky.
Of course, yeah, I've seen it. I was blown away by the
yeah,
cast. That was,
exactly.
but the
When I saw
team
that
and everything.
documentary, I'm not saying we never did something equal to the guys there, but I'm just saying in the spirit is like we were going in so many crazy directions, and when he got cut, we were left like them. Like it still has printed our work, and so far, like we're still continuing to develop the ideas that we developed on that project. Like we're still trying to, it has left such a big impression on our visions, on our way we think about the art direction, the environment, the characters, the way to design stuff.
Yeah.
And I talked to all the guys that were on the team because we kind of split up now, and we all always still thinking about that project and how to bring the stuff that we develop on that project to other projects or our personal works and stuff like that. And so,
I remember watching Dune, and that's how the team for Alien was created, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
that was actually the guy who wrote the Alien script was the FX guy on Dune or something like that. There's a story that guy came up with that scenario and stuff.
Yeah.
And
they had Giger, they had
Geiger and stuff like that. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'm still trying. Like some of us are trying to find a project that we can still bring back that team together. Mm-hmm. and work on that. That would be amazing. But so far, we've just split on different other projects. So.
Okay, so how exactly you have worked with these people, these awesome artists in-house? That was like a one team, one room situation, or more?
Well, like it was an open space kind of office. So we had I forgot how many we were, but we were 6, 7 concept artists. We're just sitting next to each other in a room.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Yeah, so that must be great because you can always look at your peers' screen and be blown away and exchange ideas, get feedback.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm gonna have a hard time. I'm still thinking of going freelance in the future, but I'm gonna have a hard time not having that on an everyday basis, And it's different because I've tried also working in an office with different freelance. But you're not working on the same thing. There's really something about when you work on the same project, everybody's talking about the same thing. Everybody's brainstorming toward the same goal, and they have an emulation that is amazing. Right? Especially if you have people that are very creative, very responsive, that really throw balls at each other. Like we bounce ideas off of each other, that are not shy of criticism and opinions and stuff like that. So you can really like bounce back on each other and push stuff very far. And yeah, you're blown away. You turn around, you have Jeff Simpson getting like some crazy characters. You have Chase doing awesome environment design. We had a really awesome 3D concept artist that was doing incredible creatures. So all this is mashed up and it's melting and something awesome comes out of it. And I missed that period.
Yeah, so you're planning to switch full to freelance, or
I don't know. That's also, I'm taking my time and I'm doing that in parallel to my Eidos work. So that's also why I laid the groundwork for OXAN Studio. The website. Leanne is doing freelance full time on that, and she does almost all the work at this point, and I'm just managing and doing business relationship and emailing and all that stuff, finding new clients and stuff like that. And I'm doing some piece once in a while, but anyway. And so, but I'm still keeping that structure because I don't know if I will switch back to freelance in a few years. I just want to have the opportunity to have the thing open. But for now, I'm happy on the projects that I am. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I leave the door open, and that's why I keep advertising about the studio and I do the videos and stuff like that. Because it's always good to have. Never put your eggs in the same basket. The same. You never know what's going to happen. So it's always good.
Yeah. So you still work with the same team as on the project that got cancelled, right?
No. We split. We split. So of course I can't talk about it, but.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
But
yeah. I think we can switch the subject to something that I was really looking forward to talk about, which is how exactly you work on the how exactly you collaborate on a piece of artwork or a commission or a job with your wife, and how exactly it looks like. I mean, it's pretty intriguing. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Well, it's I'm going to say we don't have like a set plan, and we don't always do the same thing. But back on the Applebot pieces, often we would do sketch together, like black and white sketch, or she would do lines, or anyway, any means necessary. We would say, okay, each of us do 4 sketches, and then we select 1 or 2 or 3, and then we push them, and one taking this one taking up, just to explore ideas and stuff like that. And then I would do color sketches. She would do it sometimes, but she would prefer me to do color sketches. And then we would pick one, and then go for that. And then I'm trying to remember, like, yeah, that's pretty much. It's the problem is it's very organic. We don't have a recipe for it. It's very organic, and she can intervene on my pieces at some point. I can intervene on hers. We usually that's why the most clear one is the beginning. Like we really do sketch and storytelling and just the concept of what we want to do with that piece together. And we talk a lot about this, and we also argue a lot about this. Oh, I prefer this, prefer that. So we try to come to an understanding of what is the best piece that can come out of all of our ideas. Then we do and that's something I do a lot on my personal work as well. We do a lot of research. We go and search for references a lot and cross-reference, and we show each other stuff and combination, and we talk a lot about it. As far as like fashion design, how do you armor design and stuff like what can we bring new to fresh to the thing we have a theme that has been done so many times. So pretty much everybody does that, but that we have a big round of research. That's something I'm really big on it to do.
Do you have maybe something visual that you could show us in terms of like the process or the visual conversation you have during the?
Let me see. I'm gonna try, but let's see. I think. So yeah, I'm going to switch to the. I think I have a little bit of something here.
That's awesome.
Let me try to switch to this. Okay. So for example, if you guys remember, let me bring the final piece. Where is this one? This is the first one. Oh, not this one. What was his name? Eidos, yeah. So that was the final piece, right?
Oh yeah, I love it.
That was the advance. I was doing that. I was like, basically we have a major and a minor. That's how I like to talk about it. So I was the major artist on this one, and she was minor.
Okay.
And so if I go down to the steps.
Can you make it full screen, maybe?
Yeah. No, try because I have to switch through folders because they're not all.
Oh yeah, don't worry then. Yeah. It's good as it is.
I have basically this is like one of her sketches, like that really quick sketches for poses and stuff like that we were brainstorming. Then that's another one of mine, so you can see like the line quality already is not the same, but the ideas and compositions are kind of like there. That was previous version. That was kind of like that. This can start like that. We can do a lot of different ones like that, and then if I go back to the folder. I can take you through the steps. Why there's no first one? Anyway, I'm going to try to go down, see if it makes sense. This was already pretty advanced. But at this point, basically on this one, she went and did the face and tried to help me figure out the face and the details of the costumes. But the problem is that we switched from a very rough to a very already almost advanced. And then that's like kind of like we go and try to find color sketches, and you can see it's very different from the final. So I searched for a lot of stuff.
So,
But at this point, there's not much collaboration, I guess. Like the thing is, like the collaboration, she would jump on, she could jump on the piece, and then do a paint over quickly, and then show me some stuff that I can improve, or this and that, for example. Like you see, for example, here, that was my shitty face, and then she comes in and jumps on the face, and then repaint it, and then suddenly everything makes sense, and I'm like, oh, that's how you do it, okay. So there's a lot of finishing touches as well, where we are more or less complementary on it. Oh yeah, but there you go. That was like the shitty sketches for the ideas. That's from me, and back from this to that. So on this piece, there was that. Let me see, the Thousand Sword Knight. We did a lot of sketches as well, but again, I don't know where they are. So that's something like that, for example. I don't know if you guys see this, but this was me doing a rounded sketch for her character, which is the I think this was this, no, not this guy. Where's the guy? Monster Hunter. Nope. I think it's this guy. So might as well. And then she goes into the guys. I'm gonna try to gather them in Photoshop because I'm getting all over the place. This as well.
so where exactly this process comes from? Is it something you have learned, or is it something your wife has learned, or is it both? Like, I see you're using the same process. Like,
yeah, well, it's pretty much the, I don't know. It's like she's very big on line work. She's done a lot of line work, and I love line work as well. And so we, I don't know, naturally evolved into that process, which is for us the most efficient one, because you don't, when you do a line work, when you flash like she does, when you do line work where everything is defined, like you have all your main shape and stuff like that, it becomes so much easier to paint after that because you've solved a lot of problems already. And so that's why we're going through those steps, because you solve one problem at a time. And too many times in my past, I've tried to do everything at the same time. And I still do, because I also enjoy studying directly in colors and painting. But I would say it's easier to do with environments because it's more organic and you can suggest more stuff more. But as far as character, if you don't do this stage, it's very hard to nail it, except if you're super good and you have a lot of practice. But usually, behind a lot of practice directly in color, you have a lot of practice in line. Somebody that is really strong in directly in colors means that I've done a lot of work, either live drawing or something like that.
Yeah.
To me, it seems like it's impossible to not go through that stage. And so you can see that from there, it jumped out. I think it was this one or this one that she liked, and she took it to there, for example. So it's flipped, but the idea was kind of here, and I had more like a gymnastic kind of guy doing like superhero stuff, but she went and grounded it a bit more. And so that's basically one of the steps. And then she would take it, and I don't remember if I did color sketches on that. But another example is the Thousand Sword Knight. This was some of the first sketches that I did for it, and which from there spawned the idea of having a knight with a lot of swords around it. So she went and did that, basically. So again, coming from these ideas, in this one we had a horse that was pierced with thousands of swords, and the knight would pick it up and pick the swords out of the horse and whatever. But from there, she went and did like something a lot more sexy and a lot more, I don't know, a lot more badass, subtle on the pose and stuff like that. So it's just refining and refining the ideas. And the reason why these sketches are on the separate layers, like on separate folders, is like I like to keep those rough stuff because you don't know, maybe someday you'll find a place to put them. There's a lot of stuff wrong from them, but the spirit of it is kind of interesting still. And so from there, I think it happened for the color sketch. I think it was on Artemis that for example, I did the color sketch on that. on this one. So she did the pose, and again, she blew my mind. She was like, she showed me that, and I was like, fuck, that's awesome. And I was like, that's awesome. I want to try colors on this, and so I went and did that. Did that color sketch, which was pretty rough, but I liked it a lot. It's inspired from a Levitan painting,
Yeah.
I remember. And so that's the same without the lines. And so you get the spirit out of it. But she had difficulty with it. She had difficulty to see there. She went in a completely different direction as far as colors. Which I wasn't convinced with, so I took it on, and I think sorry, I jumped from stuff to stuff, but I'm looking for that version. I don't have it. But basically, I pushed the rendering a little bit on this color sketch, and then she started to have the vision, to see, oh, okay, that's how you would evolve the piece. And then it came down to that at the end. Like, she pushed the rendering super far. And so yeah, that's another example. The other one, I think this one she did, well, that's the same. That's for example, my color sketch on a line again.
Okay.
And this was the original stuff that she gave me, and then I was like, oh, I want to try something with that. And then so I did this, and from this she went to that, I think, to where's this final piece.
Awesome.
So there's a fair bit of, and I think I did some touches at the end on the environment or whatever, I forgot. Yeah.
So how exactly you research your poses or camera angles? How do you play around with that? Because, okay, sorry, we have seen how you research like the camera angles. You do a lot of sketches and different views and stuff. But what about poses, designs? And I find these really unique to OXAN, especially the fashion design and all the details that make the artwork really grounded and believable, even though it's a fantasy piece, and you may say it's still a world that you just invented, but all the tiny details, I just love them. Like, looking
thanks.
at these, yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed. It's a lot of work, I want to say. She does it faster than me, but like, for example, I'll show you this couple of guys that I did. That you see the number of steps it took me forever to do them. But like, as far as research, like, for example, this is a reference board that I put together when I do the research phase. And so you can see that if you see the final one, the pose is really inspired from that. Because as much as I'm not as good as her, so she can come up with crazy poses. It's just a lot of practice. She's done thousands and thousands of faces, thousands and thousands of characters. So I'm going to say this is why she has this natural, almost original, very fresh take on poses, because she's done so many of them that she doesn't have to think about it anymore. She just have to, like, play with it. Whereas on my side, when I do it, it's a lot more painful. But basically, this is kind of the reference board that I put together for this piece, for example, with like light reference, fashion reference. It can be, sometimes it's just, you see that's my pose. I pose the hands as well to be sure. Like, this is fold reference, leather reference, like the face maybe. Sometimes it doesn't end up in the final thing, but it's still, I still search a lot. And this, I don't know, there's also pictures that are just here for the impression or feeling or something that just inspires you from that picture, that a tiny bit, maybe 1%, 2% of it is going to end up in the final piece, but I think it's still important to do. And I usually go for crazy stuff, because the higher you aim at the beginning, I think that the higher, even if it's going to be diluted until the end, the higher you start with, the more impactful it will be at the end. Whereas if you start with something like, commonplace or not so impressive, then it's going to be even less impressive at the end. So that's why I go with like really far out, crazy reference at the beginning.
So how much time do you usually spend on doing research? You said that it's a pretty extensive part of the process.
Yeah, and the other thing is it's also ongoing. Like, it's not like I don't have really a stop phase. It's just usually what I do is like I'm going to do this kind of stuff. This was the initial sketch that sparked that character. It was alpha study, alpha, you know, but I still actually think it's really strong, and I think I lost something in the end. But this was this how I started, and then from this point, when I have the impression, I work differently than her. I need an impression first. I need to have like a feeling about this. I need to want to do something, or I don't know how to explain it, but that's pretty much how I would say. And so from there, I tried to do it all by myself without reference for a while, and then I failed a lot. So I'm gonna go and gather the reference at this point maybe, and then I go back to it. And on this one, for example, where was I? On this one, for example, I needed also the color atmosphere, the color mood. I was like, yeah, that's cool, but what am I going to do with the colors? So at this point, I went through various color studies, for example, and pushing it, and you'll see it goes in a lot of direction. And you were saying about the pose and stuff like that. Well, at this point, because this is very flat, for example, on that piece, it works strongly. Like it's very graphic-y at this point. Like it's kind of, but it's flat. So I went and drew, like for example, different pose. So I went and like using reference that I found, I think, or alpha reference, alpha imagination. I went for the different intention or storytelling in the pose. And then when I did that, then I go back in color using like block shapes for using my the drawing that I did before. And then I try and I try and I try until I'm satisfied with something. And you can see that this piece has evolved a lot.
It's great you save all these steps along the way.
Yeah, I'm crazy about that, because there's also something, I paint very large, and so when you reduce the size of pixel, everything becomes a bit more crisp. So it gives you an idea of
how the piece will look like at the end.
Yeah, and you have to do that much rendering to get there. It gives you kind of an idea of what it could look at the end. So I like to do that. And it's also like every time I finish working, I just save a step just in case. I've lost so many work, like PSD corrupted or stuff like that, that I saved iRes. I saved iRes JPEG. You never know, you know.
Yeah.
You know, space on the hard drive is cheap. You know, why the hell? Why should I not? It's safer like that. And again, like you go through it, and stuff that were discarded might be interesting later on. You know, I don't know. There's still things I look at this, and there's still things I like. So
yeah, like looking up the process for this piece, you could have done
I could have gone in so many different. Yeah, exactly. But you know, like and again, because I did those pieces on my free time after days of work and stuff like that. So you go through, like, I think it was 2 months period that we had for each pieces. So I worked like an hour here, an hour there, and you always have different moods. You change your mind and stuff like that.
It changes along the way. Yeah.
It changes along the way, and for the better, for the worse. But at the end, you have something that you've spent a lot of time thinking about and obsessing over. Yeah.
Tiny details.
And it's funny because also your skill evolves over a period of 2 months if you work every day. Your skills evolve, so you go back to it and you're like, fuck, now I don't like this, I need to fix this. Now I don't
go
like
back
this.
Again, the never-ending journey. Yeah.
It's always better to do it in 2, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, because if you do it over a long period of time, then you're like, oh my god, this is awful.
Yeah, I was about to ask about the time. Like, let's say the piece goes smoothly and you kind of have your idea about the piece from the beginning, and how much time does it take for OXAN?
I'm gonna say that the characters take me a while. It's becoming less and less and less. But the environments, for example, like if you guys remember that piece here, the one that I really enjoyed last year, this one. This one. And this one is funny because I did it in like 2 days, like one full night, and I think I started it at work and as a lunch sketch, and I went back home. I was very excited about it. Then I went through it, and in 10-15 hours it was done. And sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes 2 hours. I don't know. It's really random the way it goes. And
so how exactly your lunch sketch looked like? I think you have all these steps here, right?
Yeah. Well, basically that was the thumbnails. Actually, that was the thumbnails. But like it all sparked for this one, for example. It all sparked with that photo. I don't know, I found that super interesting to have this high-tech, low-tech thing happening.
Yeah.
Like you have camels and oh, actually there was no camel at the beginning. It's just a horse and the truck. I was like, super interesting, super mundane scene, but super inspiring. And so I went and added a super big spaceship in the why not? I think I was working on some like metal stuff at the time at work, so like a lot of derelict stuff. So I had a lot of reference in my head from that. So I went and also I was working at Eidos. I'm working with Nivan. I don't know if you guys do Nivan Shantara. He does a lot of sci-fi stuff. Anyway, a lot of war stuff. No, so every time I go to his place, or we do kit bashing together, or I just jump by his computer, he's always doing crazy sci-fi stuff, and I'm always excited after I see stuff to go back and try to do some on my own. So I think that was one of that moment when I went back to my desk. I was like, shit, I want to try some stuff, and yeah, and then it just happened.
I really love the traditional kind of painterly, juicy quality to your paintings, and at the same time they're really detailed, and there are a lot of stories in there. They're not just, juicified just for sake of juicing them. They also have their story, and they're.
I'm glad it comes across.
Yeah, it definitely comes across, and I was about to ask, where does it come from? Do you have like your inspirations in the traditional media world, like masters, or any sort of any particular source?
In which area? You mean the technical side or the story?
No, not technical. I mean the general, like the mixture is really unique, I think, because I often see paintings that are just painted for the sake of being beautiful paintings, and sometimes I see paintings that have a beautiful storytelling, but they're not as brushy and technically beautiful. And here I feel like these two worlds meet. And
well, it's an interesting point, and I think that's basically I'm like you, and I think I paint what I would like to see, I guess. More it's like because it's true that there's a lot of technical artists, but it's often lacks a bit of meaning or depth in there. And then you can have crazy storytellers, and like I grew up with comic books, like I was saying, and then now I look at comic books and I have a hard time reading them because the art style is not good enough. Yes. So I'm like, because I'm too much into the painting thing, so I'm trying to bring both those worlds, because I'm still reading tons of comics and novels and stuff like that, and there's the best ideas are still in there, but they're not illustrated. But I mean, for this piece, for example, the story was built on the go, I have to say. Mm-hmm. I wasn't really specifically thinking about anything, but then I developed it as I went, and I think it's when I had the idea of doing an ice cream shop that it really came together, and not knowing if it's really ice cream that they're getting in there. And it's just quirky. Like I love shows like what's the name, Firefly or and they have like this really intense world, but at the same time the characters are really human and alive, and they do normal things and stuff like that. And I like those kind of scenes because they really bring you into that world, because you can identify. You could be that guy getting that ice cream and stuff like that, and it's just your everyday life or whatever.
Grounded worlds and. Yeah,
it's like the mundane scene are the most powerful ones to bring people into your world. Like you can see it in all the movies. They always have an exposition scene with a very mundane life going on in the extraordinary worlds, and this is how you relate to it basically. And I try to make people relate to my stories, so I chose these moments. But as far as ideas, I sketch a lot of, like for example, at the moment I have this that I'm gonna do soon, and it's just a sketch that I did in the morning. Like I go to work and I in the shower or whatever, I have ideas about stuff, and I just sketch them down quickly and store them, and I have tons of them, and then I just pull them out sometimes, or it's gonna influence another work. But in this one, for example, it's just like this big city, and there's a fucking space station that crashed into the building, and then you can see it's pretty explicit. The guy is like, if you give him food, he will tell you the story, and I kind of like that kind of premises. It's actually something, it comes from something. I always see people in the street like beggars and stuff like that, and I wish that one of these posters, one of these, their message would be like, you know, if you give me $1, I'll tell you an awesome story. It's just something that I thought about, and I thought, well, why not paint it and find a crazy beggar, and you know, it would be enticing visually to oh man, I want to know what this guy has to say, you know, and what the fuck happened in the background, you know. So that's just weird stuff going through my head, I guess.
No, I don't think so. I mean, they're weird in a good way. I totally. I love that you're not afraid to put all these things there, and you know, I met a lot of artists that feel uncomfortable because they don't finish their sketches. They kind of.
Yeah.
But if you treat them as just like a notebook, like.
Yeah, it is totally.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to do it.
Most of the time, I would never show this. Like, this is my stuff that I just keep for myself until it's finished.
Yeah.
But as far as to explain, to show one of my processes,
it's amazingly awesome to see all that stuff, because you know, we often see just a mind-blowing piece that is an end product, and of course it's great, but at the same time, being an artist and just seeing this may be intimidating, you know. And now seeing,
I know.
Seeing, you know, the spark that you know, started it all. That's
that's always what I'm looking for as well when I'm going to see other people's work. I enjoy finished piece a lot, but I enjoy sketches and notes and stuff like that a lot more, because more often than not, you can find the origin of the idea, why this person had the idea, and you can go to that source instead of like looking at that person's work. Then you move one step up on the ladder of inspiration, you know, and you go up and up, and you try. That's what I'm trying to do anyway. It's like, you take Phil Ale, or you take, I don't know, you know, Richard Schmidt or whatever, or like Jamie Jones or whatever, and like, where do they get these ideas from? And I'm not intrinsically interested in the piece in itself more than like, where did it come from? Because I want to take from that source too. Like, well, where did you go to get that idea, or to get that awesome stuff? I want to go there too. So climbing up the back, or reverse engineer the piece to find the inspiration, so you yourself can do something good out of it as well.
It's a great way to explore art history as well, looking at, you know, your favorite artist's inspiration, and just going back in time and revisiting their inspirations, and then going even back and doing that small kind of inception into the past, and seeing, experiencing the world of art through the eyes of your inspirations, which is, I think, really educational, and can open your eyes to totally new alleys in the, you know, visual.
And the thing is also like you put I don't know, like you put a Sorolla or Sargent in front of the most mundane thing. It's going to do a Sargent painting, or a Sorolla painting, or a Jamie Jones painting, where, and you yourself looking at it, you're not going to do the same thing. You're going to do your own stuff, you know. And that's interesting to think that anything that this guy could look at is going to become a really good painting, you know. And so it's not that's another subject, but it's not about the subject. It's about also the technique and the vision. But that vision is developed through going to those places as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but
you mean going to places physically, or just discovering something in terms of knowledge?
Like, because these guys probably studied what their masters studied as well.
Yeah.
But what they took out of it is totally different than their masters. And so even if they were trying to emulate their masters, they became their own thing, you know. And at some point they just focused on that, and everything they would see was through their own filters, and they basically they didn't try to copy like a master painting or something like that.
Yeah, to the point, probably just emulate, but build upon that, and
absolutely.
Express.
Like, don't try to be that person. Just try to do what she did or what he did, you know, to get that good, or to get that inspiration, or to find those ideas. Like, try to go through the same process without wanting to become that person. You want to become your own visions by using other people's process, is what I'm saying. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, totally. I think it's a really powerful learning tool if you can detach the technique from the person and just look at it and absorb it, and then when you are comfortable, maybe not comfortable with it, but when you understand it, then dissect it and take things that you like from it and
Absolutely.
Create
Absolutely.
up that. Yeah.
And it's like I don't know if you guys saw the Phil Hale just posted. I mean, some stuff came on Facebook like new Phil Hale paintings. He has a new exhibition, and I was blown away by that yesterday. And it made me want to look. It made me want to look at car crashes differently. You know, it made me want to look at because he's doing a lot of very dark stuff with a lot of car wrecks and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
I love his art. It's really powerful.
Yeah,
it's totally
insane. It's a really strong influence for me at the moment. But I mean, I've always has been, but I go up and then I just went back to it with all these new paintings. And yeah, and it just makes you want to like the color choices that he does, and it makes me want to know the guy a bit more, a bit of his past as well, like where does this darkness come from, but also the subject matter as far as car crashes and the melting of people and stuff like that. It's something that really interesting to explore and makes you look at tragedies in different ways.
Yeah, it was there all the time, but then Phil Hale started painting that, and suddenly it's intriguing.
Exactly, like with everybody, like so.
Yeah,
a good piece of art, just a good image, just like pins your interest or something you never think about. Like there is that. I mean, on my desktop, I can show you actually at the moment. Like this is pretty much all the people that I look at the moment. And then there's I mean, James Kesey is like a not student, but dear friend of Richard Schmidt. Basically, anyway, he paints flowers and stuff, and it's not the most interesting subject matter and stuff like that, but it does it in such an awesome way that you're looking at your fruits and your cups in different ways after that. At least for me, I'm looking at all my objects surrounding me. I'm like, I could do awesome paintings out of these if I really wanted to and really spend the time on composing stuff, and you can learn a lot from it as well because it's just amazing painting.
Yeah, I love the vibrancies and
it's just amazing, and there's so much to learn from it. But at the same time, then you go you have Lip King as well.
More tight.
And, like blah blah blah. This amazing color that you never think about using. Then I'm looking a lot of conceptual stuff from the past. Also, Lieber's Woods is amazing as far as designs and shapes. Yeah. And I have a mix of, I've Chase Stone and Dorje and Rangia and a lot of people. Like I go and dig into that.
I have a question. So we've gone through your journey, so to speak, and we've seen your process. Maybe your, let's say, OXAN version of your process. I think we are still going to see a little bit of your own maybe environment or something. I don't know. We'll see. But I was about to ask, what would be your advice to the people that are just starting out now and want to break in to the industry? What would it be? What do you think?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think if I pull from my experience, I would say don't be afraid to move. Like this is something that, geographically, to get jobs like that. For example, for me, if I hadn't been to Shanghai, I would have never had the position that I had back then with the level that I had. And I know a lot of people who are moving around, and you yourself, you've moved around to get opportunities, and even if it doesn't fit in the end, you still went there. You got the experience, you got the networking, and then it's very important. And I've seen in the past people who, are stuck to their hometown, to their families, and I'm not saying it's bad at all. I'm not judging or anything, but as far as the industry now, there's a limited number of opportunities, and there's far exponentially bigger number of people wanting the jobs. And so, as with everything, if you have to be ready to go the extra miles, I guess, to get what you want. But if I had to go back and tell myself some advice, I would put more emphasis on the discipline, I guess, because for a long time I believed too much in the inspiration things and being in the right mood or taking the right drug or whatever, being with the right person and stuff like that. But honestly, it's to me now that I'm looking at it, it's a bit bullshit. Like it's a lot of bullshit. And it came to me. I was reading some books about Olympic trainers. Like I was reading a book about that guy, and he was saying like the difference between an Olympian, the guys who go to the Olympics, and the normal athletes is that the Olympians is going to put his feelings aside, he's going to put his mood aside, and he's going to be showing up at the training every fucking day. And every day he's going to be training more than everybody else. And that really struck me. And he said, this is the formula. There's nothing else. The guy is an Olympian because he trains way more and he does all the boring stuff that nobody wants to do, or nobody else, not the other athletes wants to do. And he puts the time in, and he shows up every morning at the training. And to me, that struck a very strong chord with me, because that's a bit what I've been doing and forcing myself to do. Like I had 3 months I took a month holiday in December, and I bought. I took simple objects and I bought a few statues, and I did studies every day of just simple studies, 2-3 hours, and then I saw my skills in value perceptions and form perceptions grow super fast. Yeah. And I was like, damn, it's like this is only what it takes. It's just like a little bit every day for a long time, and like focus studies, focus work. Of course, there's tons of factors that come into it, but if I really had to say something, is really get yourself a discipline.
Persistence. Yeah.
Discipline, like stop listening to your emotions and like your ego tripping and stuff like that, or just your sadness or your whatever. It's gonna, there's things way worse in the world than doing what you're doing, like way worse. And so doing those studies, putting that time, is not that hard.
Get it done.
Get it done. Like the sooner you get it done, the better. And like again, I was saying with Leanne, she went through like hell in art school and stuff like that, but she got it done a long time ago. A long time ago, and she got a lot of stuff done a long time ago. And now she's way further because of that. And everybody that kicks ass just went through the same stuff. Of course, it's easier when you have a teacher every day that kick your ass and your parents that force you to go to school. But and when you're alone at home, it's a bit harder. There's so many distractions these days. Netflix, PS4, going out and stuff like that. But
you said something interesting before. Not having a choice is a huge help. And also, when I look at my past a little bit, you said it as well. Once you are in the bad situation, basically emotionally involved still, it's hard to perceive this situation that you're in as a good thing. You probably you will feel like this is the worst stuff.
Oh, of course, and I can tell you, I went through hell for so many years, and I still do sometimes. I just look at Mario, I'm like, I'm so far away from these people that I admire, and I don't have my own voice, blah, 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 all these. But the thing is, every single person, even everybody says that, but even all the artists you admire, they went through, and they're still going through the same struggle emotionally.
Exactly, and this is what really pushes you to go beyond what you even think you would ever do.
Yeah. Honestly, to me, I consider it a disease. Like it's a mental disease. Like being so obsessed. Like in my case, and I've seen a lot of people being also obsessed and practicing like insane. And I consider it a mental disease, it's an obsession. Like it really comes down to being.
Wasn't it Einstein telling that if you are a person that constantly repeats an action and expects different result, is basically insane. So
yeah, totally. Sometimes you watch documentaries about like OCDs and stuff like that, and you're like, that's totally me. It's just nobody has figured it out. I'm socially not too awkward, so people didn't put me in that box, but it's pretty much what you do. Like, it's like closing the door like 50 times. You do the paintings and paintings and paintings and paintings and paintings, and sitting in front of your desk all the time, every day, despite everything that's going around you, just because you believe in that thing or you're obsessed with it. Like you just want to
have the drive inside you. Yeah.
It's like people talk about drive and motivation and blah blah blah, or talent, and I don't believe in any of that. I believe in obsession, like mental disease, like level. Yeah, you need to get to that level to get somewhere, I think.
Yeah, that's really intriguing, because there is a good part of it and the bad part of it, as with any obsession, I would say. Yeah. And most of the time, you would consider the word obsession not really positive, right?
No.
But with with what we do, what would you think? Is it good or is it bad?
Oh,
Or
if you ask me, I mean, I'm in it, so I'm gonna say it's positive, of course.
Of course, you love it.
I mean, to me, there's nothing worth doing in this universe than creating art. Like, what else is worth something?
Yeah.
You know, earning money, or like having power over people, or I don't know, scheming. I don't know, like politics. I've recently watched a Cosmos show on Netflix, inspired from Carl Sagan. You know that when that powerful thing when he says like every struggle, every enemies, every war, every little things that ever happened to mankind is on this blue dust in the universe. And then when I think about that, I'm like, yeah. And then what am I gonna do that is interesting or is worth anything? And to me, creating something like is the only thing that's worth it. That's worth doing in this life. You know, what else am I gonna do? Everything is useless anyway on the bigger scale. Nothing has any meaning or any sense, so you can just try to enjoy this as much as possible. And for me, the way to enjoy this is to do this, is to create awesome shit every day.
All right. So I think it's the perfect place to actually create something.
Yeah, I'm pumped up. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so we see some sketches, research. Yeah.
What do we see? You guys see my whole screen, right?
Yes, we see some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we see you. Okay, so basically what I have on the screen is what I was doing yesterday and today. Just again, it's a lot of exercise and practice in rendering and exploring colors and shapes. And so I've thought about a few things, and I think I'm going to go with either I'm going to put this sketch in colors or this one. But in any case, I'm going to be inspired by that sketch and those references here that I gathered. Since the yellow painting, I don't know if you guys remember that.
The latest one, the one we have in the banner, right?
Yeah, exactly. The one in the banner. I'm really intrigued by all these colors here. There's something I love turquoise anyway, but those yellows, and it can be either happy or sad or depressing and stuff like that. I kind of like that. There's not really, if you put it in a certain mood, you get totally different vibes out of it. So I've been exploring those colors a lot, and so that's where I'm going to keep going, I guess. I'm going to keep doing now. So if you guys are okay with that.
Totally. So if you don't feel comfortable talking or whatever, just do your thing, and I will shut up. And yeah, whenever you feel like talking, let me know. I can pick up some questions from the chat or whatever. But if you feel comfortable just painting, just do that.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I'll just do that then. So, I'm going to start with that because it's already have a structure. I'm going to leave this on the side just for reference. So yeah, I'm going to go the fast way. If I was working just for me, I would just color pick, try to match the colors. But I might just take shortcuts because I have little times here, and also because the information is already available. Why not?
Why not, right? You're using Colorus, right? That's the plugin.
Yeah. It's a problem, you said?
What?
You said it's a problem?
No, it's a plugin.
Oh, it's a plugin, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I can't think.
It's an opposite of a problem, actually.
No, yeah, it saved my life because I can't do nothing with sliders. I don't understand the sliders at all.
Kitten?
Yep. I have a princess cat that requires a lot of attention.
French artist with a kitten. That's unique. Awesome. Yeah, a lot of artists, digital painters and concept artists, has this thing with cats, and I have my dog here actually, just sniffing around, golden retriever. So that's different.
Nice. I just I had a lot of. I grew up with dogs, but I had a house in the countryside when I was a kid. It's just, to me, there's not enough space for a dog in an apartment. I don't feel like it's like a bird in a cage, but doesn't have enough space. The cat doesn't care. He has its space. It's fine. But
Yeah.
dog needs to run. That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. I feel like that there's a little bit more of stuff you have to do around dog than the cat, I think.
Yeah.
It depends. But okay, so what I can see now, you are using a warm underpainting. Is that it?
Yeah. I have. It's just
Okay.
something that, just to break the white. But I'm probably not gonna show much at the end. But, well, I'm trying to gather my mind right now. It's like, okay, painting. What is this already?
I mean, we don't really have to get anywhere with this. Just seeing you paint is enough. So,
okay.
yeah, don't worry
I'm,
about the end result whatsoever. We have still half an hour, so
okay.
yeah. Only Wojtek on today. Yes, only me. Sorry for that. I will. Yeah, you have to bear with me. Guys are really busy these days. Darek is working hard at Gorilla, and Jonas is probably also working hard on his vacation, tripping around the world. You can see some awesome photos. Yeah. If you're in a rainy Europe, cold rainy Europe, go to Jonas' Facebook and get yourself some sun. Do you mind me talking a little bit about our Facebook group while you are painting? Okay, so recently we have a small change on the Facebook group, which is we have reached 44,000 members, which is crazy, and there was, I don't know how to call it, but tons and tons of bots started posting really terrible stuff, which is just terrible, terrible pictures that I wouldn't even. I don't know. We just started to fight with it. I asked some friends to help me delete all that as a spam, but we weren't around all the time to delete this content, and we decided to change the logic of a group to make posts being approved before they are posted. So right now you cannot freely submit anything. You have to wait a little bit until the post will be submitted, approved by an admin, and this change comes from the exactly the problem of really terrible stuff spreading on the Facebook group of ours, which I didn't want to happen because we have young people, really young artists posting stuff, but also a little bit older, and the audience is really wide, and we don't want to be connected with any of that shit being posted in there, and even having it on for 15 minutes can be harmful. So I would rather limit the posting and being a little bit slower with the post and keeping the content valuable and entertaining without all this, junk. So, it's really hard to manage 44,000 members. So I get help from Espen, Matthias, Athlem, Sebastian, and Hamel, I think. So yeah, we are working hard with Darek and Jonas as well, of course, to bring the group together and approve posts all the time. So yeah, that's a little bit of an inside news about what we are doing now. And yeah, feel free to post in the group if you haven't already. I think it's a really great place to spread and to improve your art. You will definitely get some feedback, and yeah. If you guys have any questions to Johan, just feel free to post them in the chat regarding the process. We don't want to go anywhere else, I think. We want Johan to stay focused on the work. There is one sentence in the chat. With that admin's approval, there is one problem. If a person needs a quick, fast advice within 1-2 hours, his question might not appear on time. Yes, and our fix to that is getting more admins from different time zones to approve posts anytime. So we will be figuring it out soon. Getting more people, trusted people. That's the biggest problem. I would love to give you all guys opportunity to change, to delete posts, to approve members, and all that. But believe me, at some point it starts to fall apart. So we have to build a team that is reliable and trusted, and it takes time. So right now we had a problem. Terrible spam appearing on the group. We cannot keep it that way. We might have experienced some legal problems even because we are responsible for the group. We are responsible for what's being posted there. So we cannot really keep it this way. And this is some sort of cyber attack, I would say. I have no idea. It's just you reach some members. People and start to post. We'll try to improve it. Don't worry about your stuff being not approved immediately. It will improve over time. So yeah, I remember all about the last question. Don't worry about it. I remember about the last question. I did the push-ups, yes.
You did push-ups? What is that?
Yeah, we have this. Okay, we can do it now. So consider this the last question from me today, which is: would you rather be a Godzilla or a billionaire?
Okay. I'm going to think about that.
Yeah, okay, let's just let it flow. So this is our tradition. We tend to ask these questions. I have no idea when it originated, but whether, when I'm alone on the session, I tend to forget things, misspell things, and yeah, I have to do push-ups if I don't ask this question. That's what our lovely audience makes me to do, which is good. I have to keep myself in shape. That's all right. Yeah. Or not forget about things.
Bullies.
Yeah. Exactly.
So they're taking care of you. That's good.
Johan, would you say it's quite too late to apply for a first job in the industry at 30 years old?
No, of course.
Yeah, never too late.
And it's only a matter of portfolio, really.
Okay, there you go. That was a question from Chill Pill. So, a matter of portfolio, would you like? Yeah, that's what Jonas was saying a lot of times, answering that question, is that you have that life experience that 20 years old doesn't have, which is what you, Jan, was looking at when you were exactly that age.
Yeah.
You wanted to be full with experiences and hungry for new things and ready to express something that you experience. So this is an asset, actually, I would say.
It is. And the thing is, like, it builds up over time, and you think, and it comes out in random ways. Like, you think you're going to go to a place and then you're going to be able to paint just because you went there, but it doesn't work like that. It's more like, I don't know, it's kind of random, but it still brings something. I can't really explain what it is, but it's just maybe just mature and you see stuff. I don't know, maybe not, but like, at least you see this stuff. And you travel. Traveling is always good. I can't quantify the impact that it had, but it definitely had an impact. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Another question. Do you plan on making a mentorship program at OXAN Studio? That's a question from Ivan.
Um, it would be nice, but so busy that I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. I'm just trying for now to um, do like more tutorials.
Okay, gumroad, right?
I've been trying. Yeah, I've been trying to think up a program like something a bit more consistent than like in terms of content than what I've been posting so far. Because for now it's been a bit here and there. It's a bit random. It's not random, but it's not connected. There's not. I don't know what to say. But anyway, I'm trying to.
You mean like a curriculum, basically, like.
Yeah, something like lessons, and like 5 to 10 different videos that are linked together about a very specific topic that would be looked at in depth.
That sounds great. So, guys, if you're looking just for like no mentorship for now, if you are looking for knowledge from OXAN, go to gumroad.com/OXANstudio, and there you can find all the juice, all the good stuff. So yeah, it's in the description to this video.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm following. I mean, it's not a mentorship, but I'm giving advice to certain artists that I've selected. I would say, like when I saw young artists with potential, I just went, "Hey, your shit is awesome."
So you do it through Facebook or?
Yeah, it's usually through Facebook. I did something with by email with the school last year. But that was not very successful. I have to say, I wasn't really. They're dealing it with in a weird way. I prefer to do it myself, to deal with it myself. Basically.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I've been following up and trying to help some people. Yeah. It's the same. Like I switch from projects and stuff, and when there's opportunities, I like to know when there's opportunities for concept artists on the team, and I want to work with them. Because I know they will be perfect for the project, and also I would love to work with them because they're badass, and I want to learn from them. I like to keep like a list of people that I follow, and then if I can, I help push forward and stuff like that. If that makes any sense.
Another question from Santi Martin. What countries do you think are the best for working as a concept artist? I think he means in-house.
In-house. I don't know, like the hubs at the moment. I mean, Montreal has a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of companies here, but I mean, Los Angeles seems to be a place where there's tons of stuff as well. I'm not really sure where it's moving. Like you were saying before, Finland, Poland has a lot of has quite a few companies as well. It depends really what you want to do. That's what you have to ask yourself. Is like, well, who do I want to work for? I guess more than what is the city with the most opportunities. Okay. But I have to say I'm really happy with Montreal because not only there's quite a few opportunities, but there's a lot of artists, and it's quite small, so you stumble upon people all the time. But we have winter.
Question from Joseph. I will be interrupting you, sorry, but these questions are really good. Do you have any interest in heading up your own project, game, story, movie, etc.?
It's a big question. I say I'm gonna say I have too many different interests to be able to focus on one for that long. I already spend a lot of time on one project at work, and I see how difficult it is and how much energy it is to keep a ship going in the same direction with one idea. I'm not saying I'm not interested in it. I'm not sure I would be up to the task for that long time. It's a huge undertaking, and yeah, I'm not sure how to. But I like the idea. I don't know. I enjoy doing short-term personal painting also a lot. So, and switching to a different subject matter. So, you know, it's always interesting to think about bringing something to life on a very big scale or very pushed, but at the same time it sounds like a lot of pain. And I don't think at this point I have something that strong that needs to be shared with the world. I don't know. given the opportunity, maybe I would rise to it. You never know.
Yeah. Okay, so a question from Henry. Will Johann do the push-ups if he forgets to answer the question?
I'd rather be a millionaire.
Billionaire. Yeah. Why?
Billionaire, especially even better. Because then, if I'm really into Godzilla, I can put, I can do the Elon Musk thing and put a lot of money into research and, make myself become a Godzilla or something. But then it sounds like Godzilla is a lot more lonely, a lot lonelier life than. It's like if you would be a superhero, you'd be like in today's world, you'd be super lonely, or you'd be very busy with the army doing experiment on your ass to find out how you became that person. That is the thing. Like if you ever think about, that's why I don't understand.
Pain in the ass, right?
There's a lot of movies that I don't think treat about the subject. But imagine if, in the case of the Avenger, whatever, there are a lot of people, so you can defend themselves. But if you're just one guy who suddenly happens to be able to fly, then you would try this and be happy for a few days, and then the army would cut up on your ass. And then they would cut you apart, and you would live in pain for the rest of your life, 200 meters underground or somewhere, because they would never let you go until they find out. And they made it a weapon for themselves. And this is never talked about. I mean, in the case of, like, for example, Superman or whatever, they can't catch it and stuff like that. But I'm sure they would find a way to restrain him. So basically, it would be hell. So I think that would be the same for Godzilla, and it would be just it would turn into an experiment. They would find a way to control him and something like that.
We didn't have that kind of an answer before, so that's perfect. If you would be Godzilla, it would be just a sad experiment in the end.
Yeah.
There you go. Billionaire, you can become Godzilla if you want.
Yeah, and you can, you be in the shadow and you control everything. Sounds like, and you'd have a lot of company as well. Which is...
What future do you plan or expect from OXAN? That's a question from Rawhide.
I don't know. We're pretty busy right now, and we're getting a bigger and bigger project. So it's interesting. I don't really know where it's going to go, but it's growing. It's growing slowly. I did a bit of work on films last year, which was interesting. And they could go further that way. I don't know. It depends on a lot of things.
Great.
And like I said, I enjoy the team environment. So far, I'm happy with the project at Eidos and the people I'm working with. So I'll keep going on that. But like I said, I mean, I'm always going to be doing personal work, and so it will all OXAN, because you can see that the website is in big part filled with personal work, at least on my side. And there's all the Applebot stuff and stuff like that. But
yeah,
on my concept side, because I've worked on like 3 different IPs at this point, and none of them has been released, or some have been cancelled. So I have honestly about 100, 150 concepts that I'll never be able to show.
That's crazy.
Ever. And so that's why I keep doing personal work, because otherwise I go insane. Like you just work so much on stuff, and then they just go on shelf.
Exactly. It's interesting because you progress so much that you are not able to show this progress.
No.
If you just work in-house and do nothing else, then you kind of disappear slowly with...
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you have to have some kind of a social presence, but it's something different. You feel like you are not expressing yourself. It's not up to date with your skills.
That's why I say once in a while I do a personal work that I can show, and it kind of represent where I'm at the time. But but then it stays in your portfolio forever, and meanwhile you're doing hundreds of pieces, and you can't show them. I don't know. There's a very big dissonance. There's a very big gap between what you do every day and what's in your portfolio. Sometimes it's a bit weird to think about it, but at the same time, also don't think about it too much. It doesn't matter. To me, like it comes from a place like I've been so inspired by people, and that's why I got into it and stuff like that. And it's kind of like I want to give back, and like I want to post stuff because I want people to get excited and become artists because they saw some of my work. Maybe that's maybe pushing it a bit, but you know what I mean. It's like to me, it all comes down from my inspiration. My primary inspiration comes from seeing so much good stuff, and I wanted to give back that feeling to people, that I want to show stuff. But then you can reach a point where you don't give a fuck about that, and you just do your stuff for yourself, and it's like I'm doing oil paintings and stuff like that, and it's just for myself. I don't feel the need to show it to anybody.
Yeah.
Like it's my own privilege to just look at them, have them hanging in my house and stuff like that, So I think you can grow out of that, and I understand that, and sometimes you discover that the most kick-ass artists are not on internet. They're in studios. They're working all the time, and they don't.
That's true.
So busy and stuff that they don't need. They don't need. But even if they had the possibility, I'm not even sure they would do it because they don't give a shit. At the end of the day, the other motivation to put your work online is to get noticed and get work and stuff like that. But once you reach that stage, enough stuff to keep them busy that they don't even think about that. And I think I'm slowly getting there. That you get enough satisfaction out of the stuff you do every day and the people you work with that you don't need to connect that much with the rest of the world through the internet. And it's sad.
It's just another tool. Yeah.
I understand where it comes from, but it's sad because I know that there's people like me who get just starting out that needs that motivation that I got from conceptart.org and stuff like that back in the day, or even CGL more recently. I think it's a very big tragedy that CGL disappeared. Yeah, for all the starting artists and stuff like that, I don't know. It's a shame that those people don't post because it would raise the level a lot more as well. They would break the internet basically.
There's two more technical questions, which is we'll start with the more technical one now. Mm-hmm. So, what's the rig you're working on? It's Mac, right?
Sorry, what? Oh yeah, I'm on the Mac. Yeah.
What's okay? So Cintiq or?
No, just on the regular tablet, Wacom tablet, A4, and just.
Okay. Is it the 4K monitor or?
Yeah, this is the latest 27-inch.
God, it's 4K, right?
Yeah, I think so.
That's tons of space.
Yeah, I love that. Like at work, I have like 3 screens, I think, but here just this is enough. And I really hope everybody will switch to Mac. Oh, what am I saying? No, I mean I never have any problem with Mac. Like I grew up on PC and stuff like that, and I have PC at work and stuff. I just never have any trouble with Mac. Like, never breaks or never do anything wrong. So I just love it. I just don't have to worry about anything. But yeah.
Another question? Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's it. My rant is over.
Question from Diego: when do you know the shape is cool?
That's a good question. I think it comes down to force of habit, I'd say. And the force of habit, like it's something that also I'd forced myself to do. I think Leon forced me to do that actually. Which I think at some point she went through my reference and she trashed everything that was bad in her eye, like everything that was not good enough got trashed, and it got me thinking. And it's right. Like if you're only looking at the best stuff all the time, like really, if you're really picky technically and on every level, and you just look at that for a long time, then your brain is going to start to reproduce that, like almost instinctively, I would say. I'm not saying this is a scientific fact, but it seems that's how it works. And so yeah, but it takes years. It takes years of like when you do your research, when you do your image reference folders and stuff like that. To I don't know. I'd say it comes down to personal taste, but personal taste can be molded. It's like brainwashing. You brainwash yourself with the best stuff out there, and eventually your brain is going to start thinking that way.
Yeah, you become what you eat. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the same as like a language. If you just talk English or listen to English or French or whatever all day long,
you start to think English.
You start to think that way, and that's it. I mean, so as far as what is a good shape, then look at what
good shapes.
There's like it's hard because at the beginning you don't trust yourself because what you produce is not good enough. So you kind of, I would say, think that well your tastes are not good enough or something. But I think it's more of a technical thing at the beginning. So you have to, at the end of the day, you have to trust your own taste. At one point, you're gonna have to tell yourself, okay, but I'm not that bad at thinking about stuff or looking at stuff, the references I gather. I'm okay. It's just that technically I'm not there yet, but I can see already what's good and what's not good, I guess. I guess that's how I would describe it. You have to trust yourself at some point that your judgment is good enough. It's just that your skills are not up to par, basically, or something like that. But yeah. But at the end of the day, it comes down to personal taste. Also, I mean, whoever sets the trend is this person just thought it was good back then. That's just what you did. There's no other thing. And then it caught on, and more people got excited about it because I don't know, it was the right time and the right place for this trend to emerge. But at the end of the day, there's always one guy at the beginning who just think it's good, and then it just goes for it. Well, whereas nobody else has gone for it before. So what is good shape is whatever you think is good, I guess. And then experience will tell, or audience will tell if you were right or not. But yeah, a gut feeling of something. But I was thinking, I don't know. You can ask. I mean, I can ask the audience also. And my turn to ask questions. It's like I was thinking about this the other day. It's like you know, like if you have a big audience, like if a lot of people like your work,
yeah,
doesn't it mean that you become mainstream and then therefore you're going the wrong way? Sorry. Like, shouldn't you be aiming for having your work being hated by everybody? Because not hated, but at least not everybody looking at it, because that would be kind of, you would know that you're on the new path that nobody has seen yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like if you have tons of followers and everybody digs your work and stuff like I'm thinking an exception I would say would be at the moment would be James Jean maybe, which had a very weird, yeah, very particular and mind-blowing approach to illustration. That was like a summary of a lot of stuff, but that caught on, and I don't know if it's mainstream, but it's pretty mainstream, I'd say.
Yeah, but there is a point when you can dissect visionary from not good enough. You know what I mean? So you cannot. I don't think you can explain not being good enough as
lack of audience, or
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, maybe that's the question to that's a problem of people that actually have a huge following. And I think this is the idea of just stopping to explore and staying in your comfort zone. And I can
you have a formula and then you keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly, because it works, and suddenly
it works. You make money out of it. So money means money means success, means you're right. So
yeah, and it's not bad, and it's
not bad.
It's totally fine. It's just the way you want to do things, and it's not bad. It's just the way you want to live. Okay, this is comfortable. This is all right. I am happy with that. Awesome, and that's great. Some people are happy with this. Some people are, you know, have different personalities, and some people like to risk more or explore, and some people like to not do it.
I just get bored.
Yeah,
that's my thing. Like I just can't. Like I was talking, friends who do like war stuff or mecha or like fantasy or whatever all the time, and I just ask them, how can you do this all the time? Like, don't you get bored of doing this? I'm not saying it's bad, and they're getting great results because, contrary to me, they're digging in one direction, so of course they get super good at it. Whereas I dig in very different directions, and I get somewhere, but it's not as good as, and it's always a first try most of the time. So I don't know. So I could push stuff, but I just can't help it. I just get bored of stuff. I can't do the same.
It really shows your personality, and it really connects with your early experiences that you talked about, that you can just leave things right here and go explore, and you kind of first applied it in your life, so to speak, real life, and then it slowly moved into more mature version of it in the art world when you actually can control it more and doesn't affect your your whole so to speak living quality, but it just influence your it's just a mindset you have in the art world now. So let's go explore. Let's.
Yeah. Or you're completely insane, and that's another explanation.
Yeah, or you're just crazy.
Yeah. This is a very heavy attention deficit disorder.
Do you like being crazy?
Yes.
Of course,
I love
right?
it.
Okay, so we are getting some light from the top, right?
Oh no, it's just like it looks good because it is eye contrast. So if you switch, suddenly you have attention here.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make too much sense because if I'm doing that, then the intensity of the bounce light should be much higher. But you might actually go there. Let's do that actually. This is something I've been playing with a lot recently. It's like something that I've started notice everywhere on painters that I like, and I'm like, damn, that's what they're doing. And it's like it becomes a game, and it goes beyond, and it becomes more interesting than the actual subject matter most of the time. It's this game of trying to find a value in arrangement that has the most jump from dark to light to dark to light to dark to light, and where you can have it's actually edges. Because I remember reading this chapter in Alla Prima, the book by Richard Schmidt, and I never understood what he was talking about. And then I think recently it hit me that the game is to actually find a tonal composition where you're going to have the most of this. You see what I'm pointing at here, or here, the last stages, which is like it's actually where two form meets at some point. And somebody that does it extremely well is Vanja. When two forms meet, but they actually disappear into each other, but they're part of different objects, different color or different. They go in different directions, but at some point they meet and they almost disappear into each other, and then they emerge as another shape on the other side. And then these, the eye loves that shit. Like your eyeball goes insane for this stuff. Like you have like contrast of like. I was explaining that in my video, and that's what my rendering video is mostly about, is this this playfulness of like having like dark and then like you have dark and light here, and then you have light and light, and you can go light and then dark light, and so it seems like the retina, the way the brain works, like it's just this is hard drugs for your brain. We love looking at the pictures that have that in them because it's very playful, it's very exciting for the retina, something like that.
That's interesting. I was thinking that it's connected a little bit with that. It gives you a feeling of movement, maybe of.
Might be, yeah.
Yeah, might be. Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but
it works.
It works, and it just works for me. I just love finding those. It's like a puzzle, and you're trying to put all the pieces and find the best piece, the best puzzle possible.
Yeah, the concept of edges is just outstanding. I love it.
It's very abstracting. And then you look at, when you get that, you look at painters like, oh, that's what they were doing all the time.
Yeah, there you have.
This painting is that. And then you can tell why they. You see, like I was saying before, I was talking about this guy, James Keyes, who paint flowers and stuff. But actually, this guy is having fun with colors and edges. That's all he's doing. But he doesn't care about if it's flowers or whatever. It's just playing with those shapes that are interconnecting and like connecting colors and values together in the most playful, unexpected way. So when you're going to look at it, your eyes has never seen this arrangement before, and you're like, holy shit, that's awesome. Well, that's so smart or something. I don't know. I love to look at the painting. I'm like, this guy's so smart because he just found that combination that's going to give you that feeling. There's that guy here, Diamond Kelly. He's killer for that. It's just simplest things, but you see the lost edges are just so smartly placed that it's just pure gold to look at. These connections, and then you can really disconnect a lot of stuff or connect a lot of stuff, and it still makes a lot of sense. It's just amazing. So talking about like, to me, this is very high level taste of painting, and that I can't do, and I wish I would do. I would be able to do. This is like super high level stuff. Super controlled, and it's in oil and stuff like that. And there's the whole vision behind it that he designed that image, and he put people in poses and find that drop and this and that. This is another level. But it's all about the technique. Yeah. In this case, but that's my interpretation of it anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And some people find that very boring, and I can understand that too.
I mean, you know, it's just another thing you're getting inspiration from, and
Exactly.
I love looking at traditional art. It's just, you know.
To me, it comes down. You know what? It comes down now. Like I'm looking at it, and I'm like, damn, I wish there was like I don't know, seen a spaceship or something or whatever, but painted with that level of technique. You know.
Yeah.
I want to bridge those two worlds because, like, you look at awesome traditional painters, like, damn, that's awesome, but the subject matter sucks. You know? And I was like, I wish this was more exciting or something. And then you look at concept art or stuff like that, and you're like, I wish the technique was so much better because the subject is awesome, but then that painting is bad.
Let's transform this cup or a still life into space opera.
The problem is like. Because the painting from life is like it's super easy, not super easy, but you have all the solutions in front of you. Whereas when you paint from imagination, you have to imagine everything. So
yeah, totally.
And that's the crazy part. It's like how do you imagine everything? Plus on top have all this, like gestural, brushstrokey, whatever. Plus colors, plus it's insane.
Yeah,
it's easy. Take a lot of time, or you have to take a lot of time to do it, which is a trend that is not popular at the moment, but actually think that. If we had more time to do a lot of things, then we would bring stuff to a lot higher level. I mean, professionally anyway. If the trend wasn't to be so fast all the time, everything, we could take time to make much better stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, having the object right in front of your eyes, and and if you're being really technically proficient, then it's just play for you. Yes, and then a nice exploration of what's possible.
Oh, yeah. It's so relaxing. It's so relaxing. Yeah. Like every time I go back to a still life or whatever, I'm like, oh, this is so relaxing compared to everyday work where you're just trying to imagine and paint everything all the time. And then when you look at something, you're like, well, everything's there. I don't have to do anything.
But then you have the obstacle of paint.
Yeah, the obstacle of the technique, but
yeah, but saying there's no obstacle, yeah, it's totally. I mean, having an obstacle can be relaxing as well. Like, it depends on what kind of obstacle it is. If you have an obstacle, like your everyday obstacle is to imagine things, to design, to invent, then having an obstacle in maybe having to mix paints is refreshing. So
yeah, totally.
Maybe that's the obstacle.
I've actually never tried to do imagination with oil painting yet. I've never tried to paint something from my head with oil because it's just like too much, still too much to take in. Like, just the mixing, when you have reference or model in front of you, it's already so hard that I can't not have on top of that the layer of like, what am I doing? Like, what is it that I'm trying to do here? I have no idea. What I mean? Like, it's another layer. I'm not there yet.
We are getting close to actually past 2 hours.
That was quick.
Yeah, that was quick, right? I told you, the time goes fast on these.
Yeah.
Once we hit live, it's get really, really fast. So, yeah, I think we can wrap up here if it's
That's
okay.
Great. It's okay with me. I mean, I hope everybody enjoyed this talk and the little painting that I just did, and that everybody got something out of it. And thanks again for inviting me on the show. That was great.
Yeah,
that was my first live painting and interview.
Turned out great, really. We are really thankful for you coming here and sharing your journey and knowledge with us. That was definitely
my pleasure.
An enlightening talk. So, yeah, make sure to visit oxanstudio.com, guys. Go also to gumroad.com/oxanstudio. All these links are in the description to this video. Thumb it up if you like what we are doing here. And yeah, thank you, Johann.
Thanks a lot.
That was awesome. Make sure to follow Johann on Facebook as well. That's important. And yeah, see you guys next week, I guess. And yeah, we love you guys. See you.
See you guys.